Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.
Yes, we have one of the macadamias here today, one of the Brazil nuts. Sam and James aren't with us this evening, so I have Scott. No Tam, alas. Maybe tomorrow. All right, we'll have a full complement of macadamias tomorrow. It is Friday evening here in Huntington, and I got to tell you, it's been a week with the weather. It has snowed, it has iced, it has been warmish, it has been bitter cold. It's rained. I've had a little bit about everything. But right now it's a balmy 33 degrees, and that's right in my wheelhouse. I like that particular temperature. Makes me feel good. There's no wind, there's no humidity. But you know what? It's Shabbos. So no matter what the temperature is, it's going to be beautiful. So here we are, Friday evening, and we're going to start our Shabbat service first by having the candles lit. We're going to bench licht, as they say in the Momoloshen Yiddish. And you can find the bracha on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Well done. Thank you, Scott. All right. Let's begin Kabbalah Shabbat proper, right? The welcoming of Shabbat, kind of get ourselves out of the work week. The rabbis in the mystical city of Tzfat decided that it was too much to go from just running around all week and then just jumping right into Shabbat services. So they gave us Kabbalah Shabbat, a series of psalms and songs that help us let go of the week and ease into Shabbat. And so let's begin on page 6, and we'll read in the middle of the page responsively. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, things to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
All right, we are going to continue. We're going to jump ahead to page 20. And we're going to continue with Lecha Dodi. And I think it was last week we changed up the tune a little bit, and the Hasidic tune that, well, at least I think it's a Hasidic tune, and if it's not, it should be. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Scott likes it. So here or at least Scott knows it. That's liking and knowing. It doesn't matter to me is one or the other. Top of page 20. We'll continue with Lecha Dodi, verses 1 and 2 and 8 and 9. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikavela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, Ishmi'anu el hamichad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'tila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi makor habracha, mehirosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh machshavat chila. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela, Yaminu smol tifrotzi, V'et Adonai taritzi, al yadish ben partzi, v'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, bohi v'shalom ahateret bala, gam b'simcha uv'tzola, tochu emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikabela. All right. Let's turn to page 22, the Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92, and we'll read the first part in English together, and then we'll continue with the indented part in Hebrew. A psalm, a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzadikata ha'yifrach ke'erez balvanon yiske shetulim b'veit Adonai. Chatzrot Eloheinu yahafrichu, Jinuvun b'seva, Deshenim v'ra'ananim yiyu lehagid, Ki Yashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Avlatabo. All right, page 24. Let's welcome the angels who come to spend Shabbat with us, as it's in the Gemara that on Friday evenings that two angels will accompany us home from shul. And if they find that when we get home that the table is set and there are two chalot and there's wine for Kiddush and a Shabbat dinner, then they will make sure that we have a peaceful Shabbat. But if they find a balagan, if they find chaos, well, then they will just add to the chaos. But in West Virginia, I've been assured that the angels have only found places ready for Shabbat. So we don't have to worry about them being chaotic this weekend. Top of page 24, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShahari, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All right, friends, we have welcomed Shabbat. It is in our midst. And let's turn to page 145, and we'll continue with Arvit l'Shabbat. We'll continue with the evening service for Shabbat with Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, ve'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlik malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Bahagala, uvismahan kahariv, v'yimeru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam ulal me'almaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shmei dekudusha, brichu, leila min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram v'yalma, v'yimiru, amen. Page 146, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Let's read responsibly in the bottom of page 147. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom.
Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures.
Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Top of page 148, we'll continue Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbeinu u'vkumeinu Nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, v'yorech yameinu. Uvahem nehege yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatech al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol meodecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alvavecha vishinantam levanecha vidibarta bam vishivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uveshoktecha uvkumecha ukshartam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeruhu v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Middle of 151, let's read responsibly. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
Top of page 152, Mi Chamocha, and it just happens that this weekend, or this Shabbat, is Parshat Bashalach, and we read the crossing of the Sea of Reeds. And so Mi Chamocha is part of that song that Israel sang as they crossed the Sea of Reeds. So page 152 at the top. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nohora tehilot, ohosei feleh, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe, Ze'eli anu v'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov ugalo mi'ad chazak mimenu Baruch ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael. Top of page 153 in Hebrew, the first two lines of Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Near the bottom of the page, let's read together. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence, we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 154 at the top, verses from the book of Exodus, a little bit later in the book, Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru V'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Lidorotam Berito Olam Beini uvein B'nei Yisrael Ohoti Le'olam Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Lidorotam Berito Olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabbat la'asot et hashabbat lidorotam berito olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash shavat vayinafash v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabbat la'asot et hashabbat Lidorotam berito olam. All right, friends, we are at the centerpiece of the evening service, the Amidah, the central prayer to Judaism, or one of the central prayers, I should say. There are a couple of really important ones, and the Amidah is right there at the top. We're going to chant together 155, 156, and yes, 157, and then we'll continue silently through the end on 167. And you can chant along with us. You can read the Hebrew at your own pace, read the English, or offer up your own silent prayer at this time. But we're going to begin 155. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher chastei avot ve'imahot, u'mevi goel livnei v'neihem, leman shemo bi'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham, v'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye metim atarav lahoshia, Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye metim berachamim rabim, sohomech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekahaye bemunato, Lishenei afar, michamocha bal givurot, umidomeh melech meimit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atal hachayot meitim, baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye HaMeitim. If you're still completing your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. And we're going to continue reading together on the middle of page 160. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Page 163, a little bit of hoda'ah, a little bit of gratitude on this Friday evening. And I'm sure that no matter how the work week went or how the week in general went, that we all have things for which we are grateful, for which we are thankful. And so keep those in mind as we read responsibly on the top of page 163. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
All right, and we'll close out the Amidah this evening, as always, with the prayer for peace. And in the evening, it's Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol eit uvechol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. And near the bottom, or in the middle, actually, let's read responsibly. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. Make contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes.
Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart.
Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. All right, we're going to skip ahead to 253 for the Mishaberach, the prayer for those who are ill. And if you have anybody in your life that needs a little bit of extra healing this Shabbat, spiritual, physical, emotional, any kind of healing, keep them in your thoughts and close to your heart as we continue in the middle of the page. Mishaberach Ahavoteinu Mikor habracha Le'imoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. All right. Let's go to page 258 and 259, prayers for our community. And let's read, not responsibly, let's read together the prayer for our congregation, for our country, and for Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion in prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smichat Geulatenu. Hagein Aleha bi'avrat chastecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha v'amitecha l'rasheha sareha v'yoetzeha, v'takneim be'etza tova milfanecha, v'natata shalom ba'aretz, v'simchat olam liyoshveha, v'nomar Amen. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.
The macadamias, the Brazils, the pecans, the pistachios, all exotic. All right, this week's Torah portion is Bashalach. And I got to tell you, pound for pound, there's a lot of action going on in this week's portion. Led by Moshe, Bnei Yisrael gets ready and they leave Egypt, right? Last week, it was kind of a cliffhanger, right? Are they going to leave? Are they not going to leave? Are they going to get out? Are they not going to get out? They get out. But Pharaoh changes his mind, right? Color me surprised here, right? Pharaoh changes his mind and sets off in hot pursuit of Bnei Yisrael. And they make it to Yam Suf, right? And that's the Sea of Reeds. Now, for some reason, it's called the Red Sea. And I don't know if that's just because of a mistranslation. You know, somebody wrote down reed and then dropped an E and it became red. I don't know. But the word suf here is, it means reed. And a person who writes a Torah scroll or writes the parchment that goes inside a mezuzah or inside your tefillin, he's called a sofer, right? Because they write with reeds, or they used to write with reeds. Now they use a quill, but that's how they used to write. So Bnei Yisrael winds up at the Sea of Reeds, and the people begin a habit. That Bnei Yisrael begins a habit that will continue for the rest of the Torah, almost up until the point of Moshe's death. Right? They complain. They're stuck. Right? They're stuck because on the one side is the Sea of Reeds, and the other side is Pharaoh and his chariots on their way to do great mischief to Bnei Yisrael. So they complain. And what they say to Moshe is, well, we should go back to Egypt. Let us go back to Mitzrayim. Better to die in service in Egypt than to die here. Right? So the people will complain. That's what they do. Right? And we're going to see that a little bit more. Moshe goes to God. Right? Moshe offers this eloquent plea. And God pretty much answers with my absolute favorite line of rabbinic of any Jewish literature. Rabbinic literature, the Tanakh, the Bible, anything. God says, why are you crying out to me? Tell them to move. Right? And it's a great, great line. And tomorrow morning, we're going to look at that line, and I'll tell you why it's so great. I'll tell you why it's so great. So ultimately, the sea splits, and Bnei Yisrael and Moshe hurry across, and then the waters come crashing down on Pharaoh and his men. And Israel sings what becomes known as the song at the sea, Az Yashir. And of course, at the end of the song, within the song is the Mi Chamocha. And then at the very, very end, it says that Miriam and her and the women with the tambourines and the drums broke into song. And traditionally, Moshe gets credit for the song at the sea. But there's a literary term called analepsis, which means you don't find out who's doing the speaking until the end. And a lot of modern scholars feel that it was Miriam who crafted the song at the sea, and let her younger brother take credit, because I guess he needed it. So after this amazing miracle, this show-stopping miracle, they move on to a place called Marah. Now, if you're ever going to stop at a place that has the word mar in it, it means bitter. You don't want to stay there too long. So the people, they get there, and the people complain that they're thirsty. So they take some of the water, and it's bitter, hence the name Marah. And so God tells Moshe to throw a piece of wood in it, and it gets sweetened, and then the people are all right. Then they keep their moving, and they wind up in the wilderness of Sin. And guess what? The people complain. This time they're hungry. They don't have any food. And again, they come up with this: better for us to have died, better for us to be in Egypt, because there at least we had food, right? I give Bnei Yisrael a lot of. I'm trying to think of a gentle word. I give them a lot of shade, right? I pick on them a lot because they complain, but basically it's to be expected, right? They're breaking free of the slave mentality, and they have to get used to doing things on their own. And so this is just part of that growth. And so anyway, even though they complain, God sends them the manna, right? And so they get their fill of that. And then they they wander off onto a place called Rephidim, and you can cue it up. They start to complain. No water. Now, at this point, Moshe starts to get frustrated, right? And so God says, go, there's a rock, whack the rock, and water will come. And so the places where they stay are named Masah, which means trial, like trial and tribulation, and Meribah, which means to quarrel. right? So wherever Bnei Yisrael goes, the place names really reflect their mood. And while they're at Rephidim, Amalek, one of the great villains in our tradition, attacks them. And Moshe sends Joshua, Hoshea at this point, out to do battle, and he beats back the attack successfully. And then Moshe, at the end of the Parsha, declares that God will be at war with Amalek for the generations. And we keep that tradition alive, right? We say that our enemies are Amalek, and well, we could talk about that another time. So that's this week's Torah portion in a nutshell. All right, we are almost done with our 7 midot, our 7 character traits that define a welcoming community. And this week's is a really interesting one that I thought a lot about, and it's one of the times where, as a rabbi, I kind of take off my kippah and put on my hat as a scholar and a translator. And so I reworked the verse just a little bit. But you're going to recognize it because it's V'ahavta l're'echa kamocha. And you will love your neighbor as yourself, is how it's often translated, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. And it comes to us from the holiness code in Leviticus, more precisely chapter 19, verse 18. And it's only half the verse. The other half is, I just blanked on it. Ki ani Adonai, because God says He's holy, that God's holy. And I just blanked on the rest of the verse. But it's often translated as I have, love your neighbor as yourself. Hillel in the Talmud says that this is one of the foundational, or if not the foundational value of the Torah, right? And he basically spins it a little bit by saying, what is hurtful to you, don't do to someone else, right? If you don't like it, don't do it to somebody else. The way you want to be treated, that's how you should treat other people. It then gets reversed and spun positively in another tradition, the golden rule, right? Not he who has all the gold rules, but do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's basically the same thing, right? And this is only one of 2 places in the Torah where we're commanded to love. The Torah is not big on commanding emotions. All right, so there are 2 places, right here, and in the first paragraph of the Shema, V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, right, and you will love the Lord your God, right. So we're commanded to love our neighbor, even if they're a nudnik, and we're commanded to love God. And it makes sense, I think, that this midah, this character trait, would be included in our list. After all, we want people to feel welcomed and accepted, right? And one way we can do this is by treating them with the previous midot of kavod, right? Of honor and respect, of shmirat lashon, of watching what we say about them and to them, right? Treating them b'tselem Elohim, right? That they're in the image of God. Treating people how we really want to be treated. Right. And so this is a reminder, this command, that, we live in a community and we're surrounded by people and we need to treat them. We need to treat them well. But I think the verse is often misunderstood. Unfortunately, I think people read the first part of the verse and or the first 2 words, love your neighbor. And then they forget the kamocha. See, the way I want to translate this verse is, actually, there's 2 commands in this verse, right? Love your neighbor and love yourself. And it's a subtle one there, that love yourself, right? And that's the important piece. And my translation, the way I want to translate it is, just as you love yourself, so must you love your neighbor. You have the first thing is that you have to love yourself. You have to accept yourself for who you are. The positives and the negatives, the goods, the bads, whether you can sing or not, right? You just have to realize and love yourself. And so when we're creating a community, right? I've been talking about how we have to turn these midot out towards other people, right? How we have to treat people with respect, how we have to watch what we say about them, how we have, shalom bayit, that we don't have communities that are racked with discord and arguments, right? So I've been saying that we have to exude these kinds of midot towards others. But this week, and I love the fact that this is number 6 out of 7, is that we have to treat ourselves with those same midot. We have to respect ourselves. We have to be careful what we say about ourselves. We have to, realize and always remember that we are created, Tselem Elohim, that we're created in the image of God. And only after we can love ourselves can we extend that out to other people. If you can't love yourself, you can't love someone else. It just doesn't work. Yeah, you can say you can, you might think you can, but you can't. When you love yourself, then you can love your neighbor. And I think that's the whole point of that verse, is that love yourself and love those around you by showing them how you want to be treated. By treating yourself with respect, by not, putting yourselves in situations where you can get hurt or abused, by not saying, self-deprecating comments or always coming down on yourself, right? Because how people see you treat yourself, they're then going to treat you, right? So if you treat yourself with love and respect, other people are going to do that as well. And so as we build a community, right, each of us has to believe that we are worthy of love, of loving ourselves, of loving other people, and of receiving the love from other people when they give it. Once we do that, once we say to ourselves, you know what, I am worthy of love, that's when we can create the capacity to extend that love and acceptance to others. Hillel very famously said at the end of what is hurtful to you, don't do to someone else. He said that's the entire Torah. That's the Torah kula. The rest is commentary, right? Love yourself, extend that love to others, and the rest is commentary. Shabbat shalom, everyone, and good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom and good Shabbos.
All right. Usually I have Sam here who will remind me that it is Kiddush time. Because
it's Kiddush time.
Well, there I have Scott, and Scott reminds me that it's Kiddush time. He does a really good impression of Sam right there. So it is time for Kiddush for Friday night. I think it's around page 5. Maybe, I don't know. I have a slightly different book. Page 5. All right, Kiddush. Vayera vayivoker yom hashishi. Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam. Vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi. Melachto asher asa. Vayishpot bayom hashvi'i. Michol melachto asher asa. Vayavarech Elohim et yom hashivi. Vayikadesh oto. Kivo shavat mikol melachto. Asher bara Elohim la'asot. Savri.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit. Ki hu yom techila lamikrae kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim. Ki vanu vacharta, biotanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, V'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. All right, friends, we are almost at the end of our service, and we are going to close out as we usually do with Aleinu, and you can find Aleinu, page 282. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula liotzer reshit, shelo asanu kagoye ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu kamishpachot hadama, Shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, la'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu notei shamayim v'yoser haaretz, Umoshav yikaro b'shamayim imal, ushchinatu zo, v'gov hei meromim, hu Eloheinu einot, emet malkeinu efes ulato, kakahatu v'torahato, v'yadata hayom v'hashevota, Elevavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim imal, v'al haaretz mitachai einot. Let's read together on the top of page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lamelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yihyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. This week we observed the following yahrzeits: Bruce Selman, Joan Lerner's cousin; Barbara Gross, Roger's wife, mother of Lawrence, Daniel, Ron, and Susan; Julius Poland, Joan Weisberg's uncle; Molly Slater, sister of Izzy Booz; Robert Tarbett Jr., related to the Hyman family; Ben Stern, Diane Shaddle's father, husband of Bessie; Anna Elderman, related to Ida Strauss; Hoyt Lee Williams, Judy Lentz's first husband; Catherine Morgan Brown, wife of Irvin, mother of Benjamin and Morgan; Steffa Rosenblum, relative of Valerie White; Nathan Solacek, Mark's father; Ruth Joseph Bro, mother of Pat Bro. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us always, and may they all rest in peace. You'll find Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, v'alma divra kirute, v'amlik malchute, v'chayechom v'yomechom, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. All right, friends. Scott, would you grab me a sim shalom? All right, friends, that brings us just about to the end of services. A couple of quick announcements. It's a really quiet week coming up. Services tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I promise you a full complement of the macadamias and the pistachios. And then Sunday morning at 9. No class this week. We're taking a week breather. And then next Sunday, Yeah.
The following Sunday?
No, next Sunday. Right? Next Sunday. I'm the month has gotten away from me. It's really the end of January. So next Sunday, the first week of February, we will have, we're going to talk about Adam's two wives as we continue in the theme, right? Last month or this month, it was battling brothers. And in February, it's going to be warring women. And so we're going to take a look at Adam's two wives. And if you're shaking your head or scratching your head wondering where the wives came from, well, we'll find out on next Sunday. So you'll want to tune in for that. Next Friday night, we're going to have our first of, I hope, several Ask the Rabbi. And so you should have gotten an email. I've already gotten a question that we're going to answer next Friday night, but send your questions in. Anything you want to know about Judaism, but you might have been afraid to ask. So ask away, and I will answer as many as I can. And then the ones that I can't answer, we'll carry over into another one in March. So shoot me an email with your question, and we'll have a good bit of a discussion next Friday night. I know I'm jumping around, but Wednesday, the best little Yiddish choir anywhere is going to meet on Zoom. And so get your Yiddish on, get your song on, meet new friends, check in with old friends, just check in and enjoy. And I think that is it.
We regularly have participants from California all the way to New York.
Scott's saying it's coast to coast because they're the best little Yiddish choir with the most, right? East Coast, West Coast, yeah, get your Yiddish on. I'll tell you what, friends, I've been missing Yigdal. I absolutely adore the song Yigdal. On page 324, you'll find Yigdal, but it cuts out the last verse, unfortunately. And so I got myself a siddur that has the last verse, so you don't have to worry about me stopping. We're going to take it to the end. To the end.
What page are you on?
I'm on 326, but you can find it on page 324. 324. And like I said, except for the last two lines, it'll all be the same. Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtahabach nimsa v'yeheneit et metziuto echad v'yen yachid keyichudo nelam v'gam ein sof liachduto ein lo demuta guf v'yeheino guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kadmon l'chol davar asher nivra Rishon v'ein reshit l'reshito. Hino adon olam v'chol notzar yoreh gedulato malchuto. Shefa nevuato netahano el anshe segulato v'tifarto. Lo kam b'Yisrael kemo she'od naviu mahabit et munato. Torah temet natan li'amoel al yad nevi'o neman beito lo yachlifa el v'lo yamir dato li'olamim lezulato tzofeh v'yodea sitaharenu mabit l'sof davar b'kadmato Gomel ish chesed kemifahalo notein rashara kirishato ishlach liketz yamin mishichenu lifdot mechakeketz yeshuato meitim yechayel berov chahasto baruch adehe ahad shem tehilato meitim yechayel berov chahasto Baruch Adehe Ahad Shem Tehilato. All right, friends, let's see who is out there this week. Jenny Bro, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're right back to you, Jenny. Tom Pressman, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Tom. Back at you. Suzanne Hart, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you, Rabbi. Well, you're welcome, Suzanne, and thanks for being here. Shabbat to you and Maury. Diane Shettle, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Diane. Cheryl Hirsch, good Shabbos all. A little bit of the Yiddish there. I like it. Good Shabbos, Cheryl. Judy Lenz, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Be safe. Same to you. Let's all be safe out there. Everybody have a good Shabbos, a Shabbat Shalom, and we'll see you soon.